and you see, it's like, if you don't incorporate AI into your business now, you are doomed in the next 10 years. It's a bit of fear mongering as well.
Hmm.
So I think definitely the opportunities are inbound, but also as we, attend events and explore partnerships, we definitely, bring up how we can help these businesses, try to think about emerging technologies.
Welcome back to another installment of the Next Gen Case Study series. On today's episode, I have with me Janhavi Bodkhe, who is the product manager at TCognition. With a strong background in AI, machine learning, and software development, she leverages her technical expertise to drive innovation in AI and technology services. Janhavi graduated from the University of Iowa with a degree in computer science and has a passion for designing accessible products and user interfaces, which is why we're excited to have her on the show. Janhavi, welcome to the program.
Devin, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, the pleasure's all mine. I'm really excited to get into some of the work that you're doing here with T-Cognition. We were speaking off camera about some of the new innovations and things that you're creating, and I think that there's gonna be a really great conversation here. Before we get too far into it, though, let's start with a quick background on who you are, where you came from, and how you landed your role as the product manager at T-Cognition.
Yeah, I'll sum it up real quick for you. I immigrated to America in 2017. I started school at the University of Iowa studying computer science. And then when I graduated, I was exploring careers, thinking about, technology, I would say is a saturated market right now. But at that time, there were tons of new emerging options, and product design was one of them. I think inherently I did want to do something with human computer interaction, thinking about designing products that best fit users, creating user first experiences. So I did a few gigs in product design and then moved on to product management. Um, about a year and a half ago, I moved to Boston and started working with TCognition as a product manager, helping clients with AI ML solutions. So TCognition recently established an AI ML Center of Excellence where we do conversational AI R&D, AI ML consulting, and just basically helping businesses find value for money in implementing AI solutions.
That's really exciting. So you had this natural inclination to try to bridge that gap between humans and technology and helping us use it better or more efficiently or just more intuitively, I think is also really valuable. And so as you kind of bring some of those skills over into T-Cognition, how has your efforts to help kind of make those connections fueled the growth over the last few years that you've been a part of things?
Um, I just want to make sure I'm understanding the efforts to make those connections in terms of.
So okay, so let me ask it in a different way. When it comes to the product management at T-Cognition,
Yes.
what things do you get up to that kind of help create the products or bridge the gap between the people and the tools that you're connecting them with?
Yeah, definitely. I think user research is one of the big ones. But when you're thinking about B2B AIML solutions, definitely a lot of discovery with the client. So, for instance, sometimes we have clients come to us with a vague idea or just a simple desire to have AIML integrated either in their internal or customer facing operations. They just want AI somehow. So, a large part of my role is breaking things down for them to understand, what are your business operations? What is your business about? Where are the pain points? So, for instance, what is it that you might benefit from achieving the most? Is it reduction in operational cost, or is it some other metric that you are trying to either bring down or up? So we basically try to look at the business operations and then think about, okay, well, um, for example, one of our clients recently came to us thinking about, hey, we have contact centers and we want to leverage AI in some ways to reduce, the operational costs of our contact centers. So um, we also have to, there's so many now facets to things that I'm still, in the learning process because, AI is just so new. New trends come in every day. It's such a volatile industry, but we also have to think about, well, how are we making sure that the integration is also seamless? So it's a lot of different like facets. So product management, I think, is just jack of all trades, maybe master of one. But yeah, that's I hope I got that right. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So when it comes to the people that need this, I get
yes.
that there's some kind of practical application across the board in terms of, all businesses have inefficiencies and can benefit from having, uh, better tools, access to things that didn't necessarily exist before. And to your point, um, AI is constantly evolving, automations are constantly evolving, the way that we interact with this stuff is constantly evolving. So how are you, or how is T-Cognition kind of bridging that gap and finding people to serve?
So in terms of bridging that gap, I think we try to maintain a balance between a need and a want.
Mm.
So whenever either there is an idea that the client is proposing or a problem that they are trying to solve, we also like to manage expectations. So sometimes it might be that there might not be a need for automation in the specific sphere or the specific department, specific processes that the client has, come to us with. So it's definitely a lot of discovery in trying to ask the right questions about, where that pain point exactly lies.
Mm, okay. And so
Yeah.
does a lot of the efforts kind of circle around dealing with or maybe helping inbound people that are finding you, or is this an effort to more strategically go out and create those partnerships and then from there kind of look at ways that you can solve existing problems?
Yeah, definitely. I think definitely a mix of both. And T-Cognition attends a lot of supplier diversity events, and supplier diversity events are often, either they're like federal or state agencies that are hosting these events. One few organizations that we're part of is DA4S, GNMSDC, and we see other diverse suppliers coming to these events. And the main theme is, helping each other, generate business, stay on top of trends, and uh, funny enough, I think surprisingly, there's not a lot of AIML consultancies that I've seen at these events. So that's where the opportunity for us is generated is, at these events, we see a lot of talks about, the emergence of AI and helping these diverse businesses think about how you can begin to incorporate AI. I think if you go on LinkedIn nowadays and you see, it's like, if you don't incorporate AI into your business now, you are doomed in the next 10 years. It's bit of fear mongering as well.
Hmm.
So I think definitely the opportunities are inbound, but also as we attend events and explore partnerships, we definitely bring up how we can help these businesses try to think about emerging technologies.
Right. And so when you find yourself having conversations with these people, what sorts of topics or questions are being asked that kind of help shape the stuff that you create?
Uh, Definitely. So I think people are people are curious about the work that we're doing, maybe to generate ideas of their own and how they can leverage new technologies in their businesses. So definitely talking about a lot of case studies, work that we have done in past, and then definitely learning more about their business. At these events especially, we see a lot of CEOs, founders that come talking about where their business is right now and what pain points are currently what pain points they're currently experiencing in their business. Might be sales, might be marketing, internal operations, employee efficiency. So definitely a lot of back and forth in trying to get a holistic view of their business, and then thinking about, well, for instance, if for instance, if there is a company that's having trouble, generating leads, or maybe the time to closure for them has repeatedly or historically been too long. That kind of like prompts an idea or prompts a suggestion about, hey, why don't you come in? Let's learn more about this. And then thinking about how now we can use our technology to solve this problem.
So do you find a lot of it is kind of fitting under the marketing and business growth umbrella, or is there other things like operating efficiencies and things like that that also kind of play a role?
Definitely a lot of marketing and sales. Operational efficiencies, maybe not as much because there's a learning curve there.
Hmm.
So, and a lot of employers are hesitant in introducing those tools and technologies for internal operations. So, what T-Cognition mainly deals with is solving problems in the life sciences and pharmaceutical sphere. And one one of the biggest problems that we run into whenever we're trying to talk to those clients is compliance and security concerns about how we're addressing HIPAA and GDRP concerns. And initially, when we began, actually, we didn't give much consideration to some of these questions. But as we went out and talked to these clients more and more, we started to understand that the number one concern is about how we're handling patient data. Um, so it's just, and especially in consulting, it's just so diverse. It's going to be so intricate and so different for each client.
Okay, so when you're implementing some of these strategies and helping kind of bridge the gap between not having the technology and now implementing the technology, what are you looking for to measure its success? What makes it a good thing and what makes it not working properly? And how do you um, first, how do you determine that? And then what do you do with that information to kind of make the necessary strategic pivots to make it more functional?
Yeah, definitely. So it's working with the client to determine the metrics. To number one, think about, for instance, let's take an example of the contact center. And so some of the pain points of the contact centers are number one, the training costs, hiring the employees, training the employees. Number two, the wait times. So customer experience plays a big role in contact centers. How long are customers waiting? And how is the customer experience? That's more qualitative, but we still so trying to take a look at the whole contact center journey and contact center operations, trying to determine exactly number one, what are the priorities, and number two, so using that to define the metrics that either metrics or the counter metrics that we're going to measure. And there's also, I mean, it is, and to be honest with you, it is a new feat that we have taken, so it's not going to be a success every single time. We
Hmm.
might need to pull back either in the middle of the operation or the end of the operation to think about, well, maybe there is something that we didn't take into account and we have to solve it in real time, or not get too hung up in sunk cost fallacy, because at the end of the day, with new technologies, there is always going to be a risk associated.
Yeah, with like adopting something. We've heard a couple of horror stories in the news of businesses taking on AI and maybe their chatbots going rogue or making deals they can't make or that sort of thing. So when it comes to implementing and deploying some of these strategies, I think that that's a huge concern and a huge consideration. What are you guys doing at T-Cognition to help kind of mitigate some of these concerns?
Number one that we're doing is definitely managing client expectations.
Mm.
So we're not saying yes to every idea that comes along. Not in the sense that, of course, we, appreciate business and we, of course, are looking forward to working on new and innovative ideas. I mean, some of the problems that clients are trying to solve, we definitely want to be there for them, but not not everything needs AI. So we also try to suggest other alternatives in our IT services that might get them the results that they're looking for. So yeah, I would say definitely number one, managing client expectations.
Yeah, that's really powerful to be able to stay in line with what their goals are, but also to kind of help them see the path to get there and make sure that every step, you're taking your time, you're being intentional, you're being cautious to mitigate the risk. Although in all decisions and all things, you uh, just by having a foot, you risk stubbing your toe. I think that was such a really powerful turn of phrase that I heard recently in a podcast. I thought, people who want these kinds of solutions in their business um, are the innovators. They're the pioneers, and it's usually the pioneers that get the bloodiest because they're out there making the changes that need to happen. And it's a constantly evolving space. So how do you keep up with the constant evolution? Is this just a matter of always having, somebody or a team dedicated to doing the research, or do you create feedback loops with your customers, or how do you stay on the edge with all of this?
Definitely having a team. So that is why we decided to call it the AIML Center of Excellence, is because we're always trying to, even without a client projects, we're still working on a lot of POCs constantly, working within internal ideas, independent products to keep us on our toes. To think about, there's something that we might discover within our internal work on our POCs that we might be able to use to help clients. So recently, and one of recently what we were able to come to is multimodality. So we've been exploring multimodality with the IML. So not just uh, not just a prompt, but also maybe like conversational AI, or maybe using a visual and voice mode. So going back to the example of the contact centers, we could definitely think about just implementing a voice robot that's gonna sound very human like, and is going to answer questions in a very human like manner. But we want to go one step beyond that and think about how we can bring in innovation in the customer service space. And so that's where the multimodality comes in with a disposable application. So this is something we discovered through our own internal R&D, is that, hey, why don't we um, have something visually to accompany the conversational AI call? So you maybe call the bank, and the bank is requesting all sorts of information, um, to different people, accents, call connections. I mean, a lot of problems that comes with it. And so um, thinking about the multimodality, you get a disposable application, you do the thing you need to do with the voice, but then the heavy information that you either need to input or get from the other side, you get through the visual disposable application. And I mean, you don't need to download an app, and you get a unique application link with each call. So we're definitely, we like to keep working on ideas. We have ideation sessions every week where the entire team, all 15 people, were thinking about, hey, this is an article I read, this is a new technology I read about, how about like this use case. So definitely a lot of ideating, a lot of discussions, and also a lot of experimentation.
Yeah, that's really powerful to have people kind of out there steadily on the grind looking for information and news and articles and other people's innovations, and then kind of taking that and building on it and repurposing it and finding a place for it inside of what you do. Um, I think it's definitely in service of the client at the end of the day when it comes to um, really being intentional about how we implement AI. There
Yeah.
is a need for us to be constantly iterating on it, and so it's cool to see somebody out there actually doing that. Janvi, as we come to close with our time together here, I wonder if we can kind of look forward at some of the big goals that are on the horizon. What are you guys aiming at? What are you excited about? What's coming down the pipeline?
I think we're definitely, one of our big goals is to um, uh, work on solutions for big pharmaceutical companies. We have our internal products that we're working on. For instance, we have MIA, which is the medical information agent, working on streamlining, medical information centers. You called Pfizer for, information on a vaccine or drug, and, a conversational AI is going to take that 11-minute call, boil it down to 2 minutes. But definitely, we're still not there yet, and the pharmaceutical companies are also not there yet, because of patient data privacy concerns. So definitely, we're still going to keep ideating, and hopefully, we can get to a point where we're able to solve these big pain points on a larger scale.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Um,
Yeah.
last point, if there was somebody out there who's kind of sitting on the fence with this kind of technology and not really sure which direction to go in, what sort of advice might you offer them?
I would say to go with your gut. If you're a business owner, I would say go with your gut, and don't succumb to peer pressure. Just because everybody's doing it doesn't mean you need to do it, doesn't mean it's going to be what's right for your business. It's definitely not a one size fits all solution, and I would definitely recommend, speaking with some experts and getting some consultancy, and not just maybe buying into a ready-made service, because to get the most effective ROI with implementing AI, you need some expert input who is going to take a look at all your business operations. So I'll leave them with this.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful, very sound advice. If somebody wanted to reach out to you to pick your brain or perhaps work with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Janhavi Bodkhe, JANHAVI or drop me an email, janvi.bodkhe@tcognition.com. Yeah, happy to chat.
Wonderful. We'll make sure to link to all that in the show notes so that anybody watching or listening will be able to find you easily. On that note, if anybody watching or listening wanted to reach out to me and my team for any of your AI or marketing needs, you can visit nextgengrowth.com. Otherwise, that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining us for this conversation, and I will see you in the next.